We are in what we call the prairie forest border ecoregion. So we are in a zone where the prairie is starting to come together with the forested region. We do have more oak communities out here. Some are going to be more open, like this, oak savanna that we would have out here, and then we also have areas that are more of an oak woodland type habitat. As Scott was mentioning at the last site too, pretty much all of these other trees out here that aren't oak were not here, 100 years ago. When we first acquired this piece, it was very overgrown with trees, and it had a big cedar tree encroachment out here. You could almost, in a sense, miss the fact that we had this beautiful esker just from the scattering of cedar trees, and it was very overgrazed as well. They had grazed it season long, year after year, and it really suppressed a lot of the vegetation out here. I do have a before photo. I'll kind of show it here and then I'll pass it around as well. But this gives a little bit of an idea of what this unit used to look like. It was in the foreground. You can kind of see that it's just very suppressed overgrazed grass. And in the background back here, this is the esker that we're looking at now. That is completely covered in cedar trees. All of this that we're standing on out here too had a severe cedar tree encroachment. We also had other trees that were encroaching along the woodlands as well, things like aspen and box elder and ash trees. So what we did after we acquired this unit back in 2015, we did a big tree removal project. We cut off all the cedar trees out here. Anything else that was not an oak tree, we left all the oak trees, and you can really see there's a lot of big open grown oak trees out here. This is an area where we've got some nice savanna type habitat was starting to get encroached in. So we were able to open up all of that, and we rested the unit, kept the cattle off the unit for several years, and we reintroduced fire back into the landscape. And when we did that, it was impressive how that prairie came back, even after that suppression with the grazing and with the lack of fire and with the cedar encroachment. It just popped right back up. We had a lot of areas that had some really good prairie plants. Prairie smoke, we've got a field right over by the entrance of where we came in, just off to the east. We've got some very large patches of prairie smoke, which is an early season forb. And then up on the hilltop too, with this esker, when we took out the trees and we burned it, we had a pretty good infestation of sweet clover as well. We spent a lot of time with our crews going up and down those hills and cutting back that sweet clover. It wasn't fun. It's very steep, and you guys will kind of get a sense for that too. We're going to try for a hike up this prairie. But after we set back that sweet clover, we reintroduced fire, we got rid of those cedar trees, that prairie came back. We've got some really nice prairie up on that hilltop. Another thing that we're doing out here too is we have reintroduced cattle onto this unit, so we are doing patch burn grazing. This is where we've divided this the whole Lake Johanna Preserve that we have into different parcels, and we'll burn a separate unit every year, and we'll allow cattle into the unit, and they've got access to the entire unit, but they will tend to focus in on that recent burn patch as well as the patch that was burned and grazed the previous year. And so far, this is the third year that we've implemented the patch burn grazing on this unit. We're still a little bit in a stage of, last year we had a pretty severe drought out here, so it kind of set back some of the comeback that we would see. But we're really excited to kind of see some of that impact, I think, this year with a little bit of a wetter season that we're having. As you can see out here, we do have some interesting stuff going on beneath our feet. We've got an area that we've done a lot of chemical treatment on. This is an area where we had it used to be farmed, and we basically are doing an interseeding out here. So we use Roundup treatments in order to kill the existing vegetation, and then we're going to come back through and interseed it with our local native seeds that we've been harvesting. The native seed that we use is a part of our seed collaborative where it's all locally harvested. Otherwise, we have additional prairie reconstruction units that we've been doing on this preserve over on the far, far north side. We won't see it today. We have a track up there that used to be old CRP as well as old farm field, and we've reconverted that back into native species. We're using that we've seeded that with species that were all locally harvested either through our mechanical or our hand harvesting program. And those are sites that we're hoping to be able to develop to be future seed harvesting sites for themselves. We do differentiate when we're harvesting seed from units that were seeded with vendor seed that might be coming from a little bit further away and from other ecotype sources, and our really local seed.